All right. Hello, everyone. We're so honored to be sharing space and time with you. My name is Monica, as you well know, and I want to introduce you to a magnificent empress. Her name is Jax Faulkner. Hello, Jax.
Hello.
How are you, darling?
I'm so great now that you've called me an empress. For
Yes,
sure.
girl.
Love it.
Absolutely. Okay,
Yes.
so
Thank you.
I want to introduce you to the women that you're speaking to. And then I will
Mhm.
introduce them to you. And then we'll have a juicy conversation about multidimensionality, about
Yeah.
stepping into our Empress codes, the reclamation, and getting resourceful to make that shift. Okay. So, ladies, queens, empresses, these women that you're speaking to are women who are ready. They're ready for the reclamation. They are doing the inner work. They are in exploration mode, looking for the connection, the community, the vehicle, and the inspiration to reclaim their throne. They're ready for their coronation. They're seeking. And so, really, what we're doing in this group is bringing forward inspiration and some really grounded examples of empresses, people who have done it, who have been able to make the shift. And something that we recognize in these women is that, you know, no one necessarily has, most people don't have, an extra $10,000 laying around to invest in a vehicle that can open this up for them. And so we recognize that it feels like a real stretch to look at what we're doing and to make that leap or to understand, like, how would I get there? We don't want to be, it's hard to identify, right? Like, how can you identify with that person? And so in sharing these stories, we we desire to open portals of opportunity for these women to experience our codes and be inspired to get resourceful. And so, empresses, you have here before you an amazing human being that is making ripples in the collective. She is a multi-dimensional coach. She is a amazing retreat facilitator, next level transformation for the people that work for her, with her rather. And she's a powerful entrepreneur. And so you have before you an example of this transformation because Jax, it wasn't always like this for you, was it? It was
Absolutely not.
very
Mhm.
different. Wow.
Mhm.
And so I'm just going to open the door for you to share from your heart a little bit about your story of getting inspired, getting resourceful, and allowing this transformation, this reclamation to happen for you.
Mm. 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 Thank you. What an incredible introduction. I feel like I'm feeling very connected with the group and the women in the group, which is amazing. And there are a few key words that you have shared that I feel like will be really powerful to really dive deep into today. But let's start with my story. So it was literally only 6 years ago where I was working full time in hospitality and had been for 20 years. So in America, I believe you call it the food and beverage industry. And so I was in the food and beverage industry for 20 years. And at the time that I came across this particular freedom model, the vehicle, I initially just did not believe that it was real. I definitely thought it was a scam. I definitely thought people were being ripped off. I was definitely not in the mindset or readiness for anything like it. And so I gracefully said, no, it's not for me. And it was actually, I had in my mind that I was going to, I could be successful without being rich, wealthy. Excuse me. Sorry. Bogsy? Hi, Dylan. Okay. Mind the dog. He's very protective. I think we have someone delivering something right now. Hang on 1 second. Okay. And so it was, that was my belief. I really, 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 really believed that I could impact people and I could be influential and I could help humanity without money. I really believed that. And it wasn't until 7 months later, after that moment, I decided that's what I was going to do. 7 months after that moment, it was Christmas time. I had no money for food. I had bought presents for my kids, but I also realized that I didn't have any. Excuse me. I'm just going to. So I realized that I was the one being scammed. I realized my life was a scam. I realized my beliefs were a scam because at that time, even 7 months on, when I decided that I was going to do it without money or kind of trying to make a change without money, I realized that nothing changed. I was very disempowered. I was 35 years old and I felt really stuck. I felt stuck in a reality that didn't match what I believed my potential could be. And so it was that moment when I had no money. I had to pry into my children's money tin to get some sort of money to buy food. And that was the moment I realized that things needed to change. And fortunately for me, I really was at a precipice time, which, I believe during the end of the year and the beginning of the year is always a really monumental time to make change. And so for me, it really felt like my soul was saying, if you don't change it now before the turning of the new year, nothing will change forever. And that in itself terrified me. It terrified me to step into the new year not having another vehicle or another opportunity or something else that could lead me down a pathway that would actually meet me at my potential. And so it was really when people ask me of that defining moment, it was less about the money and more about my soul. It made me sad to feel that this little girl who had, flown from the Philippines to Australia, given so much opportunity, had wasted the opportunities. And so I refuse to do that. And I think that's one of the first things that is, when we really are ready to tap into that resourcefulness, because resources are always attracted to the resourceful. That is universal law. That is magnetic universal law. That is undeniable and undefiable. Resources are always attracted to the resourceful. So even though I didn't have money at the time, something had really triggered in me to become resourceful, and that meaning to take action that I had never done before. And so there's a lot of psychology that I actually had to go through for myself. I definitely wasn't fully healed. In fact, I hadn't really even started that journey. I definitely didn't know what I was doing. I definitely wasn't stepping into the space equipped with a following. I was literally probably in a position where if I was to see me now on paper, I'd be like, oh no, don't. I wouldn't even try with her on paper, right? But there was something inside me. And so I know that I can say that here in this group because as empresses, we know we've come to this space right now because there's something inside of us that we cannot explain. And so regardless of whether we have resources or don't have resources, what we do have is the capacity and capability to be resourceful. Like a lioness hunts for her food when there's no food for her cubs. She doesn't just go, oh, well, no food, can't go ahead and feed my cubs. She goes and finds food. That is that same triggered energy, that same triggered biology within us as well as women. That is also accessible to us at any time when we're ready to access it.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That is so powerful. What stands out to me is, well, many things. One thing I want to pinpoint is your statement around finding a vehicle that could hold my potential. That's juicy.
Yeah.
That is a profound statement. And so I want to take everyone back the best that we can, the best
Mm-hmm.
that you can, to that moment, because many of these women are like experiencing that moment where their soul is saying something has to change. Their soul is saying, this may be it. This may be the vehicle that can hold my potential. When you knew that that seed was planted, what did you do?
Well, I tried and failed a few times because, as you can imagine, if I don't have money as a 35-year-old, I certainly don't have the savings. I don't have the financial backing. I don't have a great credit rating. In fact, it was very poor. It was below the red line. In fact, it's probably blacklisted, to be honest, with some crazy decisions that I've made in my 20s and 30s, right? I think we can all resonate with that. We're not educated around wealth. We're not educated around tax. We're not educated around money or money management. And so by mid 30s, I'd completely blown that out of the water. I didn't have a family that could actually provide, because they too were also a byproduct of what they were raised with, the same vehicles, the same models. And so they, even 10, 20 years later, my mum at the time, she was in hospitality, right? So she's in her 50s and still in hospitality, right? It just continued on. And so seeing her where she was also my future if I didn't change it. That's just the truth. And so for me, I tried multiple different ways that were kind of easy. And it was when I realized that it was actually not easy, which was probably the greatest gift, because it allowed me to go a little bit deeper into what needed to happen. And you spoke of earlier about collapsing time. And this is like the perfect example of how I had to collapse time in that moment. So, so for me, in my mind, I realized that, when we can really look forward, like right now, it's kind of, at the time, it's kind of like, all right, so in that moment I need to get access to this vehicle. In that moment, I just need my foot in the door. Just get my foot in the door and I know everything will change. That's how I felt. And so I was very hungry for it. But instead of focusing on that moment, I kind of focused on the inevitability of it and then fast forwarded another 10 years. And so therefore, then, if this is the vehicle that's going to really meet my potential, I truly know and feel deep in my being that I'm going to be a multimillionaire. I'm going to impact, thousands, if not millions. I'm going to be very, very affluent. I'm going to be very confident as in 10 years time, right? As an entrepreneur, I really saw myself as, the energy of Oprah, right? The energy, this grounded, wise energy of Oprah. So therefore, then I was asking myself, what kind of problems would I be dealing with then? And I guarantee it, any investment less than $100,000 is actually nothing. So how do I treat this experience as if this is kind of just like pocket money? And so therefore, then I had to shift my relationship to how far distant, challenging, and big it was, and treat it as if it was just a favor, right? And so I had to shift that, because at the end of the day, a 15, 20, even $30,000 investment when I'm a millionaire is kind of going to be like $3. That's what I want. I want problems bigger than millions. I want challenges bigger than $1 million challenges. That's where I was headed. So therefore, then how do I collapse time in that moment and behave as if I'm already a millionaire, a multi-millionaire? And that's when it shifted for me, because at that level, you just move things and change things. And in fact, at that level, which I can definitely like understand more now, is that there's more neutrality around money. It's more like it's just kind of like you just saying, hey, can I use your pen? The same energy as a pen, rather than this like big dramatic thing around money and, oh, what does it mean about me? And so therefore I had to really embody that. And so I was like, cool. So how do I make things move? Because for me, this is my empire. It's not just a business, me starting something new. This is my empire for my family and families to follow. So therefore, what decisions do I have to make? What bold moves do I have to make now that will ensure that the moves will be bolder down the line? Because that's what I'm here for. That's
I,
what I did. I
ooh,
started here. I
yeah.
started like really thinking ahead, but then behaving ahead. There's a difference between thinking ahead and wishing, and then embodying it and behaving as if it is now. And that's when things change. So what happened from there is that the moves that I made was I called random people in my phone book, and there was no energy of desperation. It was just
Mm.
pure entrepreneurial gusto. I need this favor. Yeah, you will be grateful you helped me. Yes, no, no, perfect. Thank you so much. Let's go. Most people said no only because they didn't have it. But because of the energy I put forth, they said, I would actually give it to you if I had it. But most people don't. This is a thing. And as empresses, we know we're not most people. That's why we're here. Right. And so, therefore, it only took one person. So I kept going until I got one person, and I got one person. And here I am
Here you are.
now on the path of the multi-million dollar empire that I saw 6 years ago.
So inspiring. I love that you make it so tangible for us. You know, it's like people say, get resourceful. People say, go ask. But when you're still, like you said, in that energy of scarcity, as if money is bigger than anything else in the world, it makes it a
Yeah,
hell of a lot harder to go ask for that help. Treat it like you're
exactly.
asking for a pen, and treat it as if your success is inevitable. And if they can help, they will help. Empresses
That's
ask
right.
for help.
100%.
We are open to receive.
Yeah.
Magnificent. Ah, that was so juicy. Ladies, breathe it in. Do you feel that? Tell me in the comments if you feel that. Ooh, that was great. That
And
was a
and
transmission. Thank you.
one thing that I would say is probably the greatest value of it all is who I am today. Because it's not in the actual of the receiving of the money, it's actually of the becoming who I needed to become, and the continuum of becoming. So, you know, I've done it because I do it every day. Even to this day, there's challenges bigger than the ones that I had yesterday, and I lean in because that's just who I am now, because the value is who continue to become. And that for me, and as a woman, you guys can resonate, or women can resonate, that the value of the cracking of more codes, and the cracking of more embodiment, and the cracking of more grounding, and the cracking of more wisdom, that is the juice fast. It's not necessarily the money is fleeting, money is so fleeting, in outcomes goes, like that's just entrepreneurism, right? But the becoming is the mwah. It's the like, yes, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
We become unfuckwithable. We become unshakable. We know that nothing can phase us, that even if anything closed down, we'd still become multimillionaires because of who we continue to become. That is the asset. We become the asset. But by staying in vehicles that have us trading money for time, that continue to cap our potential, that have us exhausted and stressed out and wondering how we're going to pay the next bill, or in worry at all, as empresses, our juice is in the not worry, it's in the abundance, the expansion, the freedom, the creativity, our channel open, knowing that all of our basic needs are met and more. And therefore, then we're making decisions based on what is our highest creativity today, what is really juicing me up today. How can
Yeah.
we have how can we help more? How can we do more? But I don't really need to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it is beautiful. It is like, this is why we're so passionate about this, because we know what it feels like to be on a pathway that continues to expand our potential and expand our lifestyle alongside of it, right? And it's a continuum of this eternal growth that is like, it is game changing. And this is why we're like, just get your foot in the door and you are free. It's
Yeah.
not when you have the millions, right? It's when you get your foot in the door, you are free to be wildly creative, wildly expansive, wildly outspoken, wildly co-creative. That for us women that know that we have so much wisdom inside of us, we are so set free. That is freedom. That's liberation. But you can't do that when you're working for a boss, right? Or you
Yeah.
can't do that when you're stuck in a schedule that drains you, dealing with
Yeah.
things that drains you.
In a system that's not designed for you to
It's not
succeed.
designed for us. It's literally intentionally designed to keep us from our
Mm-hmm.
potential.
Right. Okay. So this brings up in my awareness this concept of shared economy.
Yes.
I mean, it's so juicy. I'm going to drop a micro perspective on that. And then I would love for you to share a little bit about that before we wrap up. So, there are so many ways in which our community, this vehicle, is a part of shared economy. I mean, limitless potential here. And I want to drop a micro perspective, and that is Saber told me that when she started engaging with you, Jax, that you really opened up her eyes, her awareness, her body to what is possible in this community. Like you opened her up to like limitless possibility, that there's so much more, that we were playing small even with this vehicle and we were still doing big things, but there's so much more. And then Saber opened up my awareness, the ripple effect. And now here we are in this full circle moment where I'd never met you before. So
Mm.
it's that circle, it's that sisterhood, that sacred sisterhood, where we're creating that ripple effect and showing one another. And then you plant that seed, the seed grows uniquely for Saber in her direction. And now I get to build my template over here, but it's all shared economy. We're all benefiting from it, all for one, one for all.
Yeah.
That is an essential part of sacred sisterhood and community in general. We're not here to do it by ourselves. No,
No.
thank you. I don't want
No.
that lonely entrepreneurship journey ever again. I'm good. Will you speak into this shared economy, just wherever your intuition takes you? And we'll wrap it up after that. But I want to hear, I want to open that portal for a moment because it has rocked my world in the best way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love it. So let's go back a few thousands of years in the timeline of the Atlantean timeline, where Atlantis was at that era of Atlantis where it was the highest it has been and most advanced with technology. And the way that the civilization operated was through shared economy, right? And so it's advanced civilization. Now we are now returning to that specific timeline yet in the future, where we are now in this timeline at the most advanced we are technologically and the most advanced we are innovatively. And of course, we are now leaning into this concept of shared economy. It's not an accident at all. It's actually meant to have happened. It's birthed through the earth for this to happen, right? It exists for a reason. Now, Enagic was birthed 50 years ago in Okinawa, which is also where Atlantis was. You just need to go there to feel the energy of it. Also the birthplace of Reiki, right? So it's a very powerful blue zone of this planet. If you've ever been there, you will understand. If you haven't, it's a place you definitely need to go. Now, what is happening from a grander scale, from the perspective of the evolution of humanity, is of course we're returning to advanced civilization culture, right? And this is just at the precipice of that. We're not even close. We haven't even scratched the surface. So right now, to be even having this conversation, we are really bringing forth this beautiful advancement in such a primitive timeline. And we are literally just at the beginning. Right. So imagine that we, as the ancestors of this time, the women ancestors, the top of the line of our family right now, we are remembered for having actually advanced our entire family lineage forth into this system, into this civilization, because it will be that. It's going that way anyways, right? It will be that anyways. So we're here as usherers of this. And this is what it gets to be. It exists for a reason. If it wasn't meant to exist, it wouldn't. And this means shared economy means that it is a blueprint where we're mostly in this space of receivership, where instead of prostituting our gifts to pay for our lifestyle, we have created a way where life pays for us to be with our gifts. It's this beautiful infinity experience, which it was always going to be this way, because we've manifested it as a collective, because we get to this point of collective exhaustion of prostituting our gifts. And I say that with love, and I say that with truth, and I say that without any connotation around prostitution, right, as a sexual thing. It's more of a, we're surviving and burning out our gifts just to survive, right? We're suffering in that survival, so therefore then suppressing our gifts. Yet this is an opportunity to step into a blueprint, a timeline, whatever you want to refer it to, where it encourages us to actually receive what life has to offer, what collective has to offer, what community has to offer, what the online space, the innovation has to offer us, so we can literally receive the abundance required for us to live. And therefore our gifts are this beautiful option. We actually just get to facilitate our gifts, rather than, I need to pay my rent, so I need another client, I need, like, you know what I mean, I need to fill this event because I've, all of the things that comes along with it.
Yes, absolutely. And it comes from a very different space when it can be
Very
gifted in
different.
that way, doesn't it? It's this new energy of collaboration over competition, of making
Yes.
resources readily available to people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here. I'll speak a little bit to what Saber and I are collaborating on to remind everyone. We are able to put on this retreat that would otherwise be $20,000 a ticket. And because of the way that we have built our business, we're building our legacy, we're building our empire, we are able to gift that to those who come in with us to tap into Enagic as a vehicle to freedom, because that's exactly what it is. And so, if you empresses desire to learn more, we have so much going on in Enagic in January. Amazing bonuses,
Oh,
multiple four-figure
so good.
bonuses. And that timing we did not plan. We manifested that through this magic. We get,
Surprise to all of us.
right, epic commissions. For me, it has allowed me a spaciousness to be home with my children, to take care of my children, to travel with them, and to really value experience, and to do it from a place of softness, receptivity, femininity, sensuality. We get to be and have it all, but we don't have to do it all. We get to tap into the community. So I'll invite you tomorrow on Friday. Saber and I will be sharing at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to break it all down for you. So if you feel that heart call come and listen, lean into it. And then I'm going to close this with one final question, Jax. Thank you so much for your time and your beautiful spirit. It has been such a joy. If you could say one thing to that Empress who is ready for the reclamation, something that will help her to just dip her toe in, jump over the edge, what would you say to encourage her to get resourceful, tap into that version of her that has reclaimed her throne, and come play with us?
I'm going to say something quite paradoxical to what you may think I'm going to say. You don't need me to do that if you're truly an Empress. If you truly, truly mean and really, truly believe and truly desire to embody, you don't need me to encourage you. We're just here waiting. We're here. We're going anyways. We're doing this anyways, with or without you. So you just get to choose which timeline. Be wise, be honest, be discerning. That's what I want to say to you, because an Empress doesn't need to be encouraged. An Empress knows her destiny.
Beautiful. Perfect words. We are leaders of leaders. Are you ready to lead with us? We'll end on that note. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful night, everyone. Thank you, Jax.
Thank you.